It's on.
Oh, I got carried away there. This is blooming good, this.
Yeah.
I'm Tim Greaves.
And I'm Rebecca Xibalba.
And we are the writers of Misdial.
And The Break.
And we're here to answer some questions that have been sent to us by our
What
readers.
led you to start writing together?
Oh, well, there's a story and a half.
Yep, that's a good
you
one.
You tell it.
Well, we met purely by accident, really, isn't it?
Met, yeah.
We were in the middle of the COVID pandemic. I was out of work and kind of bored, so I downloaded the Scrabble app. I started playing random people, and one of those happened to be Tim.
They don't come any more random than me.
So we became friends through Scrabble. We started chatting on Scrabble.
Yeah, I think that came about because of our common interest in films.
That's right.
Either you or I mentioned a film title and couldn't believe that the other one knew it because it was pretty obscure.
Yeah, so we started chatting on there, and you know, the friendship grew from there, and then we started writing, when was it? June last year?
June, July time, yeah.
Yeah. And it's all grown from there.
Yeah, started with scripts and then moved on to novelising the scripts.
Yeah.
How do you go about writing a book together? Probably not the way that most people do it.
No, it's a little bit unconventional.
You want me to handle that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, well, we live quite a long way apart, so it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it kind of works for us. Rebecca comes up with the ideas. She's the ideas lady in our partnership, and I kind of translate those ideas onto the page. And then when we're actually in the midst of writing, we collaborate on the telephone every day or every couple of days.
Hours of telephoning and
hours
texting.
and hours at a time, and talk through where we're at, the latest chapter or chapters, however much as we've got through. And it works, doesn't it?
Yes, it works very well.
We've got the proof in 2 novels so far.
Yes, absolutely. And the mobile phone companies have done very well out of us as well.
Yeah, not too bad.
Were any of the characters in Misdial or The Break inspired by real life people? Ooh. I wouldn't say based on real life people in any kind of great detail, but experiences that I've had through real life people have all seeped in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's natural to draw on that when you're creating characters and situations.
Yeah, I mean, you might remember the way somebody spoke, or a particular phrase that somebody used, and you think, I'll bank that for later.
Or some of the bad language that's been hurled around in your presence, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they're all purely fictional characters, but definitely through my life experience when I was creating them, lots of the people I've met, good and bad, little bits of them have seeped into our characters.
Oh, which authors inspired you to start writing?
Well, I know my answer, but you go first.
Well, I don't know if anybody actually inspired me to start writing. I started writing because I enjoyed doing it. But if it came down to authors that I enjoy reading, Stephen King, I read more or less everything Stephen King puts out. Anthony Horowitz, I like his novels. They're great twisty-turny thrillers. So I suppose if anything inspired me to keep wanting to write, it would be to emulate them. Not that that's ever likely to be an achievable goal.
And some of their money.
Oh yeah, well definitely. Well, Stephen's got enough, he can chuck some our way, can't he?
Well, it's going to sound really corny and cheesy, but you inspired me to start writing.
Oh shucks.
Well, I wouldn't have started it without you, so I also like Stephen King and James Herbert.
Yeah, James Herbert was good.
But I wouldn't say they've inspired me, I just enjoy their work. But, you know, speaking to you, and you kind of encouraged me to deliver my story to be made into a book, so you were my inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
As Chicago would say.
Slip you the £5 note later. How long did it take to write each novel? If you mean in total hours, that's impossible to gauge really, because it's not just the writing, it's the, as we said just now, the talking through what we've written, many hours. But as a one period of time, I suppose, what was Misdial, about 6-7 weeks, something like that.
Yeah,
And
that was a very quick one.
The break was a bit longer than that. About 3 months, maybe, from start to finish, 2.5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, we were working from scripts that we'd already created, so we basically had all the bones there to begin with. It was just a case of putting the meat on it.
Knocked out 2 novels in 1 year.
Knocked out.
Go us.
Yeah. I mean, can Stephen King claim that? No, I don't think he can.
Oh dear. Don't upset Mr. King.
No. We love Stephen. We love you, Steve.
How do you name the characters?
Oh.
Well, it's good fun actually naming characters. It's like having a baby, what you're going to call it. I mean, the biggest thing I think for me when it comes to thinking up a name, you have to think of their age group and what would be appropriate for their age group. And then I can kind of see them in my head, what they look like. So you attribute a name that suits their look as well, I think.
I mean, I've got that wrong on a few occasions, haven't I? I've called somebody Fred or whatever it is I've called them, and you said, no, he's not Fred. Because they're essentially Rebecca's characters, most of the people in these books. She kind of knows them inside out.
Yeah, and you can't help but, you know, it's like where you say, are they based on anybody? Everybody's got names of people that they remember from their past, maybe their school days, or people at their first workplace, some that they don't like, and some that were really lovely people and made a big mark on their life. So if I'm creating an affectionate character, I'll probably give them a name of somebody that I remember affectionately. And if I'm creating a rotten character, then I give them a name of someone that's been a bit rotten to me.
Although we were just talking about this today, I came up with Edwin, didn't I, for our Misdial guy.
Edwin, yeah.
And I just felt I'd pluck that out of the air, but then you reminded me that Stephen King's middle name was Edwin.
Yeah.
Which if I ever knew that, I'd kind of filed it away somewhere and forgotten it. So maybe it wasn't as spontaneous as I thought.
No. Is this a Stephen King tribute?
I don't know. We're not going to mention Stephen King anymore. Although he's written some really good books.
Yes, and we'd love him to read ours.
Where did the inspiration come from Misdial? Well, you've got to handle this one, haven't you?
Yes, and it's really, really simple. Misdial is loosely based on a true occurrence. I was at work and one of my colleagues needed a lift home, so she called her husband, or so she thought. Got a rather nice young man on the other end of the phone. They had a bit of a laugh over the misdialed number, and I just thought that could have gone a whole lot worse than it did. And it gave me all the input I needed to create the story, really. And I remember telling Tim this idea, and you didn't think it had legs, did you?
Not legs as a full-length novel, or as a full-length script, in fact, as it started life. No, I just thought, well, how are we going to get a whole story out of that? You know, perhaps a little 5-minute tale.
Yeah.
But no,
We did.
once you started, you just kept coming out with the ideas, and you kind of had the story mapped out in your head already, didn't you? By that point, by the time we actually got to writing it down.
Yeah. I've got that kind of brain. I'm always one step ahead. You know, most people are thinking what's going to happen in a minute. I'm thinking, yeah, after that minute, then what's going to happen, then what's going to happen. So it's very easy for me to conjure up a little scenario in quite a short time.
And I get the bits, fill in all the little bits in between, and which you either say no, they wouldn't do that, or you go, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like hearing that.
Yes. Well,
So I try to get it right.
We're a good team. Do you put any of your own experiences into the stories? Just answered that one, really, didn't I?
Yeah. I've certainly done that a couple of times with the characters, more than anything like their backgrounds. Edwin, there's a bit in Misdial where Edwin is idly looking up at a football team, photograph of a football team on the wall, and he thinks back to his school days and remembers not being very good at football and being picked last for the team. That was me. So yeah, you draw on your own experiences and little things in life, don't you, I think?
Yeah, I think you can't not really. Life is one big experience.
Yeah.
And certain things stick in your mind for a reason, I think.
Did you learn anything from writing The Break? Well, I learned I probably won't work with Rebecca again. I'm kidding. Did I learn anything from The Break? No, well, I don't know.
I learned loads.
Did you? I learned a lot of bad language.
Well, yes. I learned more from Misdial, which was then implemented into The Break. Because Misdial was the first ever venture for me into writing. So I didn't know what I was doing. And we wrote that and released it, and we got feedback from people. So that was a learning curve for me. And then I think we put all that learning into The Break to make it so much better.
Yeah.
And we've achieved that. Sounds a bit egotistical.
Well, no, I think I have to agree.
Yeah, and when we move on to the next one, we've learned things from writing The Break, which will then be applied. I think we're always learning. You never stop learning.
No, I think technically the more you write, in theory, the better you get at writing. I don't think we've gone backwards, so it's yeah. So yeah, I guess that's about all I learned from The Break. And I learned that I enjoy writing with Rebecca, really. I was only kidding just now.
And I learned I don't like interviews under the spotlight.
No, that's true. Oh, I had to talk
At
her
the
into
end
this
of
one.
The Break, the fate of some of the characters is left ambiguous. Was that intentional, so that maybe you could write a sequel about them?
Well, we did actually discuss that.
We did, yes.
Early on, before we even probably knew for sure who was going to live and who was going to die at the end.
Yeah.
That if these characters who did survive, I don't want to give too much away, are in a specific situation, could that story be extended? And I think it probably could.
Yes. I mean, if you kill off everybody and close that door, you can never come back. So it's good to leave it open-ended. And just give us that opportunity, if and when we feel like it, to revisit that story.
Yeah, I mean, there are no immediate plans to do that. I just want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But it's something that I wouldn't throw out of the window. I would consider it.
Yeah. And I think
if the story was right, if you came to me and said, I've had this great idea with those characters, and what do you think? Yeah, I'd almost certainly go with it.
But at the moment, we've got so much more on the back burner. A sequel is not first priority for us. But never say never.
Never say never.
No.
Characters, if you had to choose just one favourite from each of your novels, who would it be?
Oh, that's really difficult.
Well, we'll start with Misdial then, since that's the one we wrote first.
Okay. Want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, yeah. Give me more thinking time.
Well, Misdial for me is actually one of the minor characters in the whole book. But I love her dearly. And she's called Beryl. And she works in a shop, jovial old lady. And she was based loosely on one of my own shop volunteers, called Jenny, who sadly passed away. She was a real larger-than-life character. So when I thought up Beryl, I had Jenny in my mind the whole time. So yeah, I have to say Beryl, very fond memories. And for me, although it's not Jenny, it's a little bit of Jenny that's left behind in my book to remember her by.
Well, having had some thinking time, I'm going to have to go with Constance, Edwin's mother.
Constance.
Because she's horrible. She's a horrible character. But writing for horrible characters is more fun than writing for nice characters, because you can kind of let loose on your bad side, your dark side that you wouldn't otherwise perhaps reveal, and just channel that into this other person. So it's not you saying it, it's this person saying it, and she's really spiteful old lady, and so I think probably Constance for me.
Yeah.
And what about The Break?
The Break, wow, we've got so many to choose from.
There are a lot of characters in The Break.
I mean, traditionally, it tends to lean towards the hero of the story being the favourite. And our hero, Nick, he's a really nice guy. a fantastic character. I like him a lot. But I also like the villain, Jamie, because he's just so awful and so stupid. And I think everybody knows somebody like Jamie. And you can just put him in the most ridiculous situations. And he's a little bit of light relief because it's quite a heavy story. Quite dark at times. So you need uplifting just every now and then to bring you out of it.
Just have him say something stupid at an inappropriate moment, and that kind of just eases the tension a little bit.
So, I know that's not fair. I was asked to choose one, but it's very hard for me to choose between Nick and Jamie.
Okay, well, in that case, I'll have two as well. I would go for the Indian shopkeeper, Kabir Badi.
Yep.
Because I tell you, he's got a whole story waiting there. He's probably got numerous wives dotted all over the place. Kids he doesn't even know that he has.
Yeah, he's a fun guy, that one.
Yeah, I'm making this up as I go along. No, I would actually agree with you on Jamie. But for the same reasons that I picked Constance from Misdial. He's so despicable. But great fun to write for. You put all these words into his mouth. And that's a large part of the fun of writing is having people say your thoughts.
The covers on your books are very evocative. Did you design them yourselves?
Over to our designer.
Evocative, that's a lovely word.
They are.
Yes.
They are evocative.
Yes, I did design them. Try and keep this short, but I like designing, and I didn't really feel that I could give them to somebody else to design for, because the ideas are all up here anyway. But Misdial was written right in the middle of the pandemic, and we were pushing to get it out for Christmas or New Year. And Tim and I don't live anywhere near each other. I needed a male model basically for the cover. I had the idea in my mind of what I'd like, and I'm a photographer but couldn't get to Tim. So we kind of guided Tim's wife to take the photograph, and then it was sent over to me, and I tweaked it to get the right kind of hue and look for the cover, and that's how that was born.
So that's me. That's me. That's me.
Yeah, that's our
look
Tim.
familiar. I haven't got a mobile phone with me, but no.
Available for any modelling jobs if there's anything going out there.
You couldn't afford me. I'm way up there now.
But yeah, I mean, it's very simplistic, but it's to the point, really. I've never designed a book cover before. I didn't have a clue, but all the way along, I knew I wanted that image, and we got it.
Yeah.
Thanks to Sarah and a little bit of wizardry on the computer. And the break was hard. I had two designs in mind, and they were both tugging in different directions.
They were both very good. It was a hard choice actually, because I really like them both. Yeah,
and it occurred to me, I mean, this goes back to the learning side of things. Somebody said to me that a cover can sometimes sell a book. And it suddenly occurred to me, okay, would Misdial have stood out on the shelf? So I looked.
Well, it had me on it, of course it would.
So I looked into myself to think, okay, this one needs to stand out, it needs to grab people from a distance. So I went for something a bit more colourful, and it's actually Hastings. But
No, it's not. It's an island in Greece.
It's a photograph I took in Hastings, very pretty place, and it was a really beautiful day. And I thought, we're offering a holiday, and it's going to be a lovely, beautiful day, so it's a perfect photo. But wanted to give that kind of suggestion that maybe not everything is how it seems. So we split it down the middle. So you've got the darker side and the lighter side. And I thought it might make people think. It was as simple as that, really. They'll see it, they'll be drawn to it, and then they'll think. That for me summarises the learning question. I love the cover on Misdial. I've got no regrets about that whatsoever. But I learnt that we needed a little bit more. Something, that edge maybe was missing. So I'm hoping we got it right with the break.
Dare I say, wait till you see the next one.
Oh, the next one, wow.
Oh no. Do you have a favourite between the break and Misdial?
Oh.
That's like asking who your favourite child is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's worse than trying to pick your favourite character. Well, I would say for me, it's probably the break. That's not to say that I don't love Misdial. I do, but we learned more, and we had the opportunity to put more in because it's a bigger book, much more characters to play with. So yeah, it's going to have to be the break for me.
Yeah, I mean, when we were doing Misdial, it was our first, obviously, and I loved Misdial, and we were very happy with that. But then, you move on, and then we're working on the break, and I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger actually said that somebody pitched him a question and said, what's the favourite of all your films? And he answered very sort of diplomatically, the one I'm working on at the moment, which just about sums it up really for me.
I don't think that's his catchphrase.
What? The one I'm working on? Oh no, it was.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Yeah, well, we'll be back. We'll be back, and then probably that will be my favourite. Because that'll be the one that we're working on at that moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. You always want to better yourself. So
we'll know we've got it wrong if we look at it at the end and say, I don't like that one. The runt child, the runt of the litter. No, the next one's going to be good. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
But we do love them all equally, but it's just,
Yeah.
If you're pushed to choose.
They are our literary family.
Okay, some authors have characters that return throughout different books. Who would you bring back in a later book?
None of them, they're all dead.
Yes,
no, they're not all dead. They're not all dead. Well, I think of the survivors, there is potential for the characters at the end of the break who survived, as we'd already said. But it doesn't really preclude perhaps doing a prequel, does it? With a character like Jamie from the break, who we both agree we like probably the most. Whether he's alive or whether he's dead, or whether Nick that you mentioned is alive or whether he's dead is irrelevant, because if there's enough interesting story we feel for that character, go back and write something.
Yeah. I mean, I've not really.
Nick, the early years, Jamie, the early years, that you could do that.
Yeah, how did they get the way they are? I've not really thought about a series because I've got so many fresh ideas. I mean, we've revisited place names and things like that. We're probably too early into our career to establish trademarks. But we have revisited place names.
Yeah, we've dropped just a little hint in for the constant reader. We've only got 2 so far, but
and we have had the incidental characters in both books, which we could have built more on. But you can only put so much into a book. A lot of people commented on Blake in Misdial, who was a very strong character, but he didn't have a huge part.
He was still peripheral to the key story.
Yeah, so I mean, Blake has got a whole story all of his own, really. But while there's so many fresh ideas rattling about in my brain, I think I wouldn't want to go back over old ground. But as I said earlier, never say never.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, without giving too much away, never really got his comeuppance, did he?
No.
So he'd like to perhaps continue his story and have something really despicable happen to him.
He's a slimy toad, is Blake.
He is.
But again, he's funny. He's slimy and you don't really like him, but he's funny. So you like to find out what he's going to say and do next.
Yeah. Love to hate.
Yeah, love to hate.
Love to
exactly.
hate. Oh, yeah. If you could go back and change anything in either of the books, what would it be? Well, I mean, I'm 100% happy with both of them as they stand. But I think, given time, if we weren't working under our own self-imposed deadlines, and we just said, look, we'll just work on this until whenever, I think I would be inclined to keep going back and tinkering and rewriting and tweaking, taking a bit out, putting a bit in. Nothing specific that I can think of off the top of my head in either of them, but I would do that because that's my nature. And you can actually go wrong then, and you end up with something worse than before you started messing about with it.
Yeah, and you'll never finish, because you'll always find something you could add or change, and you'd never finish. There has to be a cut-off point when you say, no, I'm really happy with that, let's let it go.
Yeah. I think,
move on to the
actors, a lot of actors and actresses say they never watch their own films because they always look at the performance and say, oh, I could have done this or I could have done that. So I suppose the answer is for us to never go back and read either of our novels ever again, because we'll sit there thinking, why didn't we have that person say that? But no, as of now, nothing I would change at all.
No,
nothing.
Me neither. I'm happy with both. Do you find you miss the characters when the book is finished? Yes.
Yes, definitely 100%.
Yeah. I mean, for me, they're rattling around in my head 24/7. They're with me when I'm getting up in the morning. They're with me when I'm on the toilet. They're with me when I go to bed. And they become like friends. And then suddenly they're gone. You finish, you close the book, and everything you knew has gone. So yeah, I do miss them because they do become real people to me.
Yeah, because they're fun to write for as well.
Yeah.
Suddenly you just stop being that character. Well, you know, when you're writing Jamie Trott and having so much fun with all the horrible things he says, you are living that character, and then suddenly he's gone.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think I do as well.
I think that's what also gives me the fire in my belly to write more, because when you've closed that book and said goodbye to all them people, you think you'd like to create some more, some new friends. You know, I mean, they're not all friends because some of them are horrible, but they become a bit all-consuming for me, really. I can't get rid of them; they're always there. So finishing the book in a way helps me to get rid of them, and then that makes room for new characters.
And from a collaborative point of view as well, I find it rather sad when we finish one, because it's suddenly that intense collaboration, talking to each other about it, shaping, moulding the story and the characters and writing for them, is so much fun, which is why we do it, really. And so suddenly that's stopped, and it's a case of, well, when are we going to do the next one then? Simply to get back into that enjoyable process.
That's it. So if you're enjoying the books, don't worry, there'll be plenty more.
Oh yeah. Well, while Rebecca keeps dreaming them up anyway. Okay, last one then. Oh, well, do you intend to write any more novels together? No, absolutely not.
No, I've had enough of him already.
Of course we are, yes, as we just hinted. There will be more, as long as your brain keeps churning out these wonderful stories.
Yes. I don't actually think I could write with anybody else. You know, we're so well in tune. I know I'm hard. I know I'm hard to work with. First to put my hands up and say I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
I've got OCD.
Oh my God.
Very particular.
I'm a saint putting up with it, I tell you.
But yeah, you're understanding, and we work well together, and it's really good fun. That's the main thing.
It is. Yeah.
It's really good fun.
Have the fun doing it, and whatever lays beyond that is what it is.
Yeah. We've both got a very childish sense of humour, so we make each other laugh. And I mean, we got together with this during some of the bleakest times. You know, it really wasn't a pleasant time for anybody during the pandemic lockdowns of 2020 into 2021. So
and probably into 2022.
Yeah, so we lifted each other, didn't we? And it kept us busy, kept us focused, and it was great fun.
We do actually have two in the works at the moment, simultaneously we're working on.
Yep.
Another novel, so I give them the title?
Yeah, go on.
It's called Reset, I'm not going to tell you any more than that. And a short story compendium.
Yeah, something that I thought would be great fun, it's that F word again. Something along the lines of the old classic creep show, Tales from the Dark Side.
Yes, a sort of interlinking stories.
Yeah.
But separate.
And that is...
So yes, so that's... Do we have a title for that yet?
No, we'll keep that one under wraps.
Yeah.
But that is definitely... Both of those will be released in 2022.
Yeah, early 2022 probably.
Yeah, so you never know, we might get another one out.
We might. Well...
Like we've got nothing better to do, you know.
No, well I haven't.
True, yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to us and for your questions. And we hope you've enjoyed some of our answers.
And if you're sat there now by your computer, please pop over to Amazon,
Oh yes.
where you can order the Break
and Misdial for very reasonable prices,
Yes.
and you will have a great time reading them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Do you find you miss the characters when the book is finished?
Oh, you might have turned your phone off before you started. Turn it off.
I'm sorry about that.
Cut.
Oh dear. Mobile phones, eh? Who'd have them? That might have been an agent or a literary company or anybody.
it might
Stephen
have been.
King.
Oh, Stephen. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Right, we'll do that again.
Whatevs.
We'll do that again.
Yeah. Upside down, yeah. Oh, it's up. You've got your book upside down, you muppet. Oh, God.
Oh, do you intend to write any more novels together?
Oh, well, we already are. Really,
Yeah,
aren't
we are. Yeah, we've got two on the go in actual fact. One's a short story compendium.
Yeah.
And you're writing a really good little one for that.
Yeah, I've got. He's a farmer in an English village. He's got a field full of bollocks. Bullocks.
Yeah, so a farmer grows bollocks.
Oh dear.
Cut.